Okay, so let's talk about ratios. A little foldable that you picked up at school. So if you want to glue this into your journal on the next available page, we're going to start doing our notes short and sweet like this, okay, to where there's not very many things to fill out on the notes, and then we're going to be doing a lot of practice problems because our goal is to get you to the point where you can take your own notes and you won't even have to fill in the blanks. All right, so let's talk about what is a ratio. A ratio is a comparison. Okay, comparison, like when you compare two things, it's a comparison of two or more numbers. For 6th grade, we're just going to focus on two things or two numbers, all right? So a ratio is a comparison of two or more numbers. Here's an example. We've got this picture, stars and circles. The ratio of stars to circles is 2 to 3, okay? 2 to 3. Well, what does it ask us about first? It asks us about stars first. So how many stars are there? 1, 2. So that's why that comes first. Okay? Then what does it ask us about second? Well, the second thing it asks us about is circles. So how many circles are there? 1, 2, 3. So that's why the ratio is written this way. It asks us about stars first, then circles. So we put the number of stars first and then circles. So stars to circles is 2 to 3. All right? There are 3 ways to write a ratio. All right? And I'm going to use this example up here, 2 to 3. So using the word 2, so 2 to 3. Okay? Using a colon like this, 2 colon 3. You still read that 2 to 3. All right? And the last way to write it is as a fraction. 2 to 3. Okay, so all of these mean the same things. These are all a ratio that show this picture right here. Okay, the ratio of stars to circles is 2 to 3, or 2 to 3, or 2 to 3. Remember, whatever they ask you about first is what comes first or goes on top. Whatever they ask you about second is what comes second or goes on bottom of your fraction. All right, so let's do some examples. Our first example, let's say that I'm going to use the same picture from up here. I've got 2 stars and 3 circles, okay? So I want to know, what is the ratio of circles to stars? Okay, circles to stars, and we're going to write it all 3 ways. Okay, all 3 ways that we learned about up here. I'm going to start with fraction. So the ratio of circles to stars. Circles to stars. Okay, 2. Okay, that's my keyword there. So what do they ask us about first? Circles. There's 1, 2, 3. So 3, 2, and how many stars do I have? 1, 2. Okay, so the ratio of circles to stars is 3 to 2. If I wrote this with a colon, it would be 3 colon 2. And as a fraction, 3 to 2. All right, what if I asked you, using the same picture from up here, what's the ratio of stars to total shapes? Okay, well, 2 is my keyword again. All right, so I want stars to total. So they ask us about stars first. There's 1, 2. 2. The total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 total shapes. So 2 to 5, or 2 colon 5, or 2 over 5. You still read all these, 2 to 5. 2 to 5, 2 to 5. Okay, what if I asked you total shapes to circles? Okay, well, here's my keyword, 2. Okay, I want total 2 circles. So how many total do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, how many circles do I have? 1, 2, 3. So 5 to 3, 5 colon 3, 5 over 3. These all mean the same things. Okay, so let's flip over to the back of this page and let's do a few more examples of how to find a ratio. All right, let's create our own table. So here's the table. We're going to have favorite colors on the left, and we're going to have the number of students on the right. Okay, so here's our table. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see that. Okay, so I have the favorite colors blue, red. Hi, baby. Go back out. Thank you. Blue, red, and green. Okay, and I want to figure out how many students, and typically this table is already given to you. We're just making it right now. So we'll say there's 4 students who like blue, 2 who like red, and 6 who like green. So we're going to say that this table has already been given to you, and now we're going to write ratios from it. Okay, so I want to know what is the ratio of students who like green to students who like blue. Okay, so I want the ratio of students who like green to students who like blue. So green to blue. Green to blue. So how many students like green? 6. 2. How many students like blue? 4. Okay, so there's one way to write that ratio, or I could write it with a colon or as a fraction. Okay? What if I ask you to take this ratio and write it in simplest form? Write this ratio in simplest form. Okay, so for me, simplest form is really easy to do from a fraction. So I'm going to pull the fraction, 6 over 4, and I'm going to simplify it. What's a number that I can divide into both of these? 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. I can't simplify this anymore, so 3 to 2 is my ratio in simplest form. If I were going to take this and write it with the colon or the word 2, it would look like this, or like that. Okay, so you could write it in any of 3 ways. For me, I think it's easiest when I need to write a ratio in simplest form to use the fraction form of the ratio and figure out the simplest form from there, and then write it in whichever way they ask me. So if they ask me to write it using the word 2 in simplest form, I would use the ratio form, or I'm sorry, the fraction form first, and then rewrite it using the word 2. All right, let's do one more example. What if I asked you, what's the ratio of students who like red to the total number of students as a fraction in simplest form? Okay, so keyword. I want the ratio of red to total. Choose my keyword. Okay, so red to total. How many people like red? 2. And I want to write it as a fraction. Okay, and then red to total. So what's the total? Well, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 plus 2 is 12. So the ratio of red to total. All right, so I've got my ratio written, and now I want to simplify it. So I can divide both of these by 2 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the ratio of students who like red to total is 1 to 6 in simplest form. And that's how you write ratios from maybe either a table or from a picture, okay? So that's how you write ratios, and then that's how you simplify them or write them in simplest form.